Warm up for lesson 4-2. Pause to do the problem. And here's the answer. Pause. And here's the answer. Pause. And here's the answer. Lesson 4-2, solving quadratic equations by graphing. Estimate solutions of quadratic equations by graphing. All right, let's take a look at this profit function. And this profit function, we're not really concerned with the vertex as much as we're concerned with the number of items it's going to take to have a profit. So right over here, from 12 to 20 is when we're going to be getting a profit. And these are values that are occurring on the x-axis. And they're also, the y values are 0. So the y values are 0, and we're looking at where it crosses the x-axis. All right, so what we're going to be looking at today is looking at quadratic functions like this, but we're going to be setting the quadratic function equal to 0. So we want y's that are 0, and they are going to occur at the x-axis. So all of these points will be where the y is equal to 0. All right, so a quadratic function is this whole parabola. A quadratic equation is when we set the y value equal to a particular number. And in this case, we're looking for y values that are 0. Y values that are 0. So the x's that go with them are going to be -2 and 3, and these are called roots of the equations. Let's go ahead and solve this by graphing. Again, this is an equation. We're going to use the function to help us, but to solve the equation, we're going to look where the y values are 0, and that's going to occur at x is equal to -1 or x is equal to 4. We can write it in this notation as well. Now let's go ahead and see if we can graph this. I'm going to go to my calculator, and I already have it in my calculator, so I'm just going to go over, enter, so that it will graph, and I'm going to go zoom 6 for standard. And according to this, it looks like it's at -5 and 3. So the answer will be x is equal to -5 or x is equal to 3. I'm going to go back to my calculator. But before I do that, I need to make sure that everything is on one side. So x squared minus 8x plus 12 is equal to 0. I've got to be able to enter this into my calculator and find where my y's are 0. So all of this should be on one side. I'm going to go to y equal, I'm going to turn the first one off. I'm going to go down, and that's what I have over here. And I'm going to enter it, so I turn it on, and I'm going to graph. And it looks like the values are x equal to 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So x is equal to 2 is a root, or x is equal to 6. So these are roots or solutions of the equation. Your turn. Stop the screencast and see what you can do. And here is the answer. The way a parabola can position itself is with one solution, two solutions, or no solution. Let's take a look at this and solve it by graphing. Before we solve it, we need to bring everything to one side. So I can take everything to this side, and then I'll have a 0 equals, this will turn into a positive x squared. I'd like to write the -6x. I'll have a -14 plus a 23. And then I'll write x squared minus 6x, and this will be plus 9. So in my calculator, I will put this in my function, but I will be looking for this, where it crosses the x-axis. And the answer will be 3. This is the solution to this equation. Solution to the equation. All right, let's go ahead and practice by doing these. Notice I brought everything to the one side so I could check this out. I'm going to go to y equals. I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to go down, and here's my function right here. I'm going to turn it on and press graph. And it looks like it's only intersecting at one place, 1, 2, 3, and it looks like it's -4. So the answer is x is equal to -4, and that's the solution for this equation. All right, let's go to the next one, and I'm going to go to y equals, bring it down, turn it off, turn it on, and then graph. And it looks like it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it looks like it's going to be x is equal to 6, only one solution. Pause, and here's the answer. All right, let's take a look at a problem and see what the graph looks like. We want to create a quadratic equation where two real numbers have a sum of 15. So we'll let one be x and the other will be left over from 15. And that way these two, when you add them up together, will be the number 15. Now it says their product is 63. So we're going to multiply them to make 63. We're going to distribute. We're going to bring everything to one side, and then we're going to graph. And when we graph, we're going to find it doesn't cross the x-axis. So there isn't an answer to this problem. Let's take a look at this one. One number is x, and since their sum is 6, the other number must be 6 minus x. And it says their product is -55. So x times 6 minus x is equal to -55. So 6x minus x squared is equal to -55. And then I'm going to bring everything to one side, x squared minus 6x minus 55. And I think I have a spot on my calculator already. So I'm going to go to y equals. I'm going to go down. I'm going to turn this off, go down, and I already have this written in my calculator, and so on my standard screen I'm going to go ahead and graph. I don't think I turned it on. Okay, so let's go down here again. I may have forgotten to turn it on. Here we go, turn it on, and now graph. Okay, so it's intersecting, but I'm having a hard time seeing, so I need to see more y's that are lower and more x's across. So I'm going to go to my window, and I want to see more x's, so I'm going to go 20, and then I'm going to go down here and see more lower y's, so negative, let's say 40, and we're going to graph. Okay, I don't really need to see the bottom. All I really need to see is where it crosses the x-axis. So this looks like a -5, and I suspect this must be 11. So this is going to be x is equal to -5 or x is equal to 11. Now notice that these two numbers do add up to 6, and these two numbers, their product is -55. Okay, so let's take a look at this table right here, and let's take a look at the graph and examine something. I want you to notice that the numbers between 0 and 1 right here, between 0 and 1, I want you to notice that the y values go from 4 to -1. And when the y values go from 4 to -1, they will eventually cross. And so we are going to have a root between 0 and 1. Notice the same thing's happening between these two numbers here, 5 and 6. So here between the numbers 5 and 6, we have a negative value and then a positive value. So we're going to have some kind of 0. So when you see this happening, you know you're going to have some roots here that are passing. All right, pause and see if you can answer this question. And here's the answer. Pause and see if you can answer this question. And here's the answer. I had to give myself a graph. I went ahead and graphed the vertex, and I did the axis of symmetry here. And they said one of the roots was -17, so I know this distance from -6 to -17 is 11. I know that the idea of symmetry means the other side will be 11. which means if I add 11 to negative 6, I'm going to get the number 5. Okay, so the other root is 5. I can check my work by taking these two numbers and finding the midpoint, and sure enough, I do get negative 6, so I'm really sure of my other root.